Let's talk about prisoners of war. Welcome to the Time Treadmill. I'm Ron, and these are my sweaty thoughts about Doctor Who. This morning I watched the middle third of the Censorites, which is notable as being the first Doctor Who story to show non-human aliens. Now, I will grant you, we had the Daleks, but we never actually saw the Daleks. All we saw was their robotic shell. And I might possibly grant you the Voord from Keys of Marinus, but they were always inside their rubber gimp suits. We never saw their faces. Here in the Censorites, for the very first time, we see a non-human alien race. It's also the very first Doctor Who story that is declaratively set in the future, happening in the 24th century. The thrust of the story has the TARDIS arriving on a human spaceship as it approaches the Sense Sphere, home of the Censorites. And at first, the crew of the ship appear to be dead. They soon, however, turn out to be in a sort of hypnotic, suspended animation, enforced by the Censorites themselves. You see, the backstory, which was uncovered in today's viewing, was that the Sense Sphere was visited 5 years prior by another human spaceship, and the crew on that spaceship found the planet rich in molybdenum. Immediately, the crew celebrated with dreams of avarice beyond their wildest imagination, and the Censorites, being telepathic, felt this like a sort of psionic attack, and so they took steps to stop the humans. Now, at this point, we don't know what happened to them. We'll find that out tomorrow. But that brings us to this point in the story, where the Censorites have prevented another human ship from coming to the Sense Sphere. The Censorites don't want to hurt the humans. They just don't want them to return to Earth and tell the planet about the riches of the Sense Sphere, which is fair enough. Kind of. But that also means that the Censorites are holding the humans captive. They're feeding them, they're making sure they're well cared for, they keep them mostly in a hypnotic state so they aren't terrified, except every time they wake up they really are. But when you come right down to it, the humans are prisoners, and specifically prisoners of war. And that brings me to the story behind the story. You see, the writer of the Censorite, whose name escapes me right at the moment, so I'm going to put it right here. Thank you. He fought in the Second World War in the Royal Air Force for England and spent some amount of time in a Japanese prison of war camp. And this story is informed by his experiences as being a prisoner of war. The interesting thing to me, though, is that the thrust of the story is not what you might expect. It's not a "I'm a prisoner, I must escape" kind of story. Instead, it's an exploration of the dynamic between the prisoners and the captors, and an exploration of this alien culture that is focused entirely on status and position and not on the individual. Sound familiar? And this is exactly what I love about the Censorites and about Doctor Who in general. To explore these kind of themes and ideas, and to explore the notion that most people are generally good people. And so the surprising thing is that the story portrays the Censorites themselves as basically good, kind people. Fearful, certainly, but generally compassionate people. The one exception is the city administrator, who is so xenophobic against the humans that he will do absolutely anything, including kill them, in order to protect his homeworld. Which, again, sounds pretty dang familiar to me. And that's what I love about the Censorites and about Doctor Who in general, is its ability to explore these kind of themes. This is what keeps me coming back day out of day, regardless of the wobbly sets and the rubber face masks. It's the stories themselves that absolutely inspire me. So tomorrow, we find out what happened to the original Earth crew. I hope you'll be here with me.